going to introduce our first speaker, and that's Laura from the Good Things Foundation. So Laura, over to you.
Okay, I'll just wrangle my slides into action. I think, right, I'm assuming everyone can see those and hear me now. Yeah, so good morning, everybody. Brilliant. Thanks, Mark. I'm Laura from Good Things Foundation. I work in our community engagement team. I'm really happy to be here to talk to you this morning about Good Things Foundation. I'm aiming to cover a very brief overview. So I want to introduce you to who Good Things Foundation are, talk about the scale of the digital divide problem and give you some of our statistics, and tell you a bit about our approach to closing that digital divide. And as Mark said, the slides are going to be shared with you and there'll be time for questions afterwards, hopefully. So Good Things Foundation are a digital and social inclusion charity. Our vision is a world where everybody benefits from digital. We want people to be digitally able, equal and safe so they can be happier, healthier and better off. So we've been working towards that aim since about 2010, and we've managed to reach 3.5 million people to improve their digital skills since then. We do this by working with the Online Centres Network. So we support them as organisations with their social inclusion missions. So the Online Centres Network is about 6,000 centres around the country, and they vary massively from big library organisations to what you might call internet teaching cafes in local fish and chip shops. So they're massively varying. And we support them through advice, resources. We have free learning resources such as our learning platform, Learn My Way. We also offer them critical friend services, and we give them opportunities to apply for funding and actual devices and data now as well. So we do this by working with government and the private sector and also philanthropy organisations in order to deliver specific digital skill improvement programmes. So this is our huge infographic about the digital divide. So we can see as an overview, we want to move people from the more negative side on the left by giving affordable internet and devices and data, by training through digital skills and giving community support. We're hoping to move people to the more happy situation on the right of the screen, where people are more digitally able, active, equal, happier, healthier and better off. So as Mark said, we will share these slides with you. So I'm not expecting you to take in all these statistics now, but you will have this infographic to look at in more detail. And I'm going to try now focus on a little bit more of the statistics and how we are aiming to bridge that digital divide. So this slide gives us an understanding of the problem that we're facing, really. So 36% of people say it's too expensive for them to be online. 37% of people who are digitally excluded say that they don't have the right equipment. There's some people that think it's not for them, they're not interested in, they don't see why they should be digitally included or the advantages of it. And 46% of people feel it's too complicated for them. So we need to understand the reasons why people aren't online before we can move on to try and encourage them to be online. So this next slide shows the reasons why we are overall aiming to get people digitally included and the advantages that it brings to them. So people being happier, so 85% of people reporting they connect with friends better. They're better off because they can save money on things like bills and offers on the internet. They get better value for money. And they're healthier because they have better access to physical health information online as well. So I'm going to sort of say a little bit more about how we do our work to move people to this happier statistical situation. So here's some key statistics of the overall problem. So there are currently about 10 million people that lack the most basic digital skills, and about 15 million people have very low digital skills, so what we call limited users. And we'd like to move that situation over to be 30 million people highly engaged and 86% of adults with the digital skills that they need. And our Online Centres Network is a key thing in this bridging the digital divide. So that community support is the way we deliver a lot of our project work. So these community centres in the online centres network. We would call them hyper-local centres. They're really at the point of need, and they're not formal education organisations. So people who have complex lives, who've maybe had a negative experience with school or have never been to school, wouldn't see them as formal and would be more happy to engage with them. They're at the point of people's need, and they spend a lot of time investing in people's confidence and motivation around digital. They do have many other roles alongside digital, so they offer things like food banks, cooking clubs, and digital will be put in there as a grain throughout the offer, such as maybe looking at recipes online as they're doing the cooking clubs and things. So it's very much that digital is integrated into a lot of other services they provide. So employability, digital skills for employability is a big focus at Good Things Foundation at the moment. So teaching digital skills is a focus of that bridge within that. So we can see here the statistics say 8.7 million people haven't got digital skills for employability and work, but 92% of businesses want those digital skills. And actually you need a lot of digital skills to find and apply for jobs online these days as well. So Good Things Foundation have a learning platform called Learn My Way, which we use to teach those digital skills at foundation and entry level. So I think we're quite unique in our offer, or compared to other organisations that come in at higher levels of learning, because foundation level is literally sort of how do you use a mouse, how do you switch on a device and connect to the internet, and this is where a lot of our people need to start in their digital journey. We also have a curated platform called Make It Click that we've developed with Google, which is more level 1 resources and more of the work skills that people are aiming for. So as well as our fundamental learning offer there, we also have specific projects working on employability. So one example is the Power Up project. It's been funded with us by JP Morgan. And this is to test the use of technology in small businesses in about 100 businesses in East London. And the project aims to evaluate the impact of that and look at the scalability about rolling out that digital education across the country. Another example that's less employment driven is our Connect Up project at the moment, where we're working with the Scheinberg Relief Fund as a philanthropy organisation. And this aims to work in collaboration with older people to design services and resources that help older people to gain the digital skills to be healthier and better off. So we know that from our statistics that access to devices and data is a big issue with why people remain digitally excluded. So we've been working on a project called Everybody Connected since the start of the pandemic, and it's now part of our normal business offer. And this Everyone Connected project aims to work with businesses, government and other charities to gain funding to purchase devices and data, and through our online centres network give that out to people in local communities who are currently offline. And a key to the success of that project has been that we don't just give out the devices and data, but we give out training by our community partners to use that data and device to help people improve their personal situations towards their personal goals. And this was done virtually in the pandemic, which wasn't easy, but we did manage to reach, I think we've given over 20,000 devices and data sets out now. And some of the funders that have been involved with that have been things like people like MenCap, Children in Need, government departments, and other big businesses around the country. Sometimes we're focused on specific audiences like those with learning disabilities who we know are disproportionately affected by the pandemic, or others it's been things like families. Another exciting project we're working on at the moment in terms of affordability is the UK's first data bank. We're working on that with O2, and at the moment that's in a kind of test and learn phase before we're looking to roll that out early next year towards the rest of the country. So that data bank will be a bit like a food bank, but for data to get more people able to continue to access online services and skills. So I know I've just gone through that massive pace to try and fit it in my 10 minutes, but you will have the links to all the things I've kind of mentioned on this slide, where you'll be able to find out a lot more about the things I've whistle-stop talked about. So we've got the Good Things Foundation site itself, the online centres network site where it's hashtag Fix the Digital Divide. the Online Centres Network site, where you can learn more about that free offer. I think I did mention that it's free to join and remain part of our Online Centres network. And our Learn My Way site, where it's got foundation and entry level learning, and Make It Click, where it's got our curated resources for more level 1 learning. So thank you for listening, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. I think Mark's talking on mute for a minute now.
I am, and it's better if I'm on mute, I think. I make more sense. Thank you, Laura. That's wonderful. You kept to your 10 minutes beautifully. So thank you very much. We'll do questions at the end, folks. So if you've got any particular questions, do put them in the chat. But we'll come back to those at the end. So without further ado, I am going to pass on to our next set of speakers. So it's Tom Heffer and Sue Watcham from Cambridgeshire Skills. So guys, over to you.
Hello everyone. You know, typical that we've got a bit of technical issues going on here, but I hope you can all hear me and see the screen presented. Can I have a thumbs up if you can? It'd be awesome. Just so
yeah.
Got about 6 different bits of technology all around the room. Thank you very much. So, so it's a bit of a double act. Sue's in sunny Lincolnshire. I'm in sunny Chatteris. Sue is our learner experience. Well, actually, you know, Sue, you introduce yourself. You know,
yeah, well, hi there, everyone. I'm Sue Watcham. I'm one of the senior management team at Cambridgeshire Skills. I look after customer service and admissions, and also the development and marketing, which I work on with Tom here. So that's why you've got a double act this morning. What we're going to do is kind of give you just a brief overview for those of you who don't know us about Cambridgeshire Skills. And we've kind of cheated a little bit. We've got a video we're going to play about Cambridgeshire Skills, talk about how we actually engage with the digitally excluded population out in Cambridgeshire, and the sort of support we offer, whether it be through devices or the training side. And then also a little bit of a brief talk about a pilot we're doing with the small businesses and small charities in March who find that they're struggling to actually compete online to market their services through being digitally excluded. And it's a little TikTok video we've put together with the businesses in March to promote them. And this has led now to a launch of a business breakfast club for the small businesses. So I think we're going to start with the video. Is that right, Tom?
Right. Let's cross our fingers, hope it works.
Hi, I'm Abby, and in September I enrolled onto the Functional Skills Maths course. This was so I could try and gain a GCSE in maths. I've also recently taken part in the volunteering programme for Cambridgeshire Skills. I've very much enjoyed it so far. I have taken part in the social media side of things, just seeing what trends are about, giving some ideas. I've very much enjoyed it.
Sorry if that was a bit jumpy. Blame that on the weatherman. I am going to today. So within that video, you can see that there is our online, flexible, face-to-face and live stream. So these are our three ways to learn, and it's sort of worth noting that before the pandemic, we were completely face-to-face service. So during the pandemic, we shifted all of our courses online, and then seeing the positivity from that and perhaps a bit of caution about people still wanting to come out face to face, we've carried that through and have our three ways of learning. So the symbol on the left is our online live stream, courses that are delivered live on the internet at certain set times and dates. These are all negotiable with a cohort of learners, so that we can make it more inclusive for them to learn at times that best suit them. The middle symbol is our face-to-face symbol, the little Cambridgeshire Skills logo. And then the third symbol is our online flexible course. So these courses you can do at 2 in the morning or whenever suits you. It's tutored supported as well. So it's not just a sort of an online course, you do get that human element of it. And our courses can be accessed via tablets, desktop PCs, laptops, and as I try to just do then, my phone with Zoom. This is an example. Sorry, it's just to just say, as Tom said, our initial, when I first joined, which was 6 weeks before the pandemic actually came, all the offer from Cambridgeshire Skills was face-to-face. And we have realised since we've moved online that there are certain subjects that are very difficult to teach online, such as basic digital skills. As Laura was saying, basic digital skills, how to switch a computer on, is not successful to try and teach online. So we have put face-to-face back in as soon as we possibly can to actually deliver the beginners courses, and they are the very basic courses, such as the online one, basic online, and also like ESOL as well. ESOL again is a course which is not easy to teach online at a very basic level. So we've prioritized the beginners courses through our offer to try and get face-to-face. The majority of our enrolments are still online enrolments. People are still a little bit wary about coming out face-to-face, and obviously we have the difficulty as well of being limited to numbers in rooms for teaching face-to-face courses. So we start right from the basic courses, right from the essential digital skills. We have the entry level, which is for beginners, and then we go on to essential digital skills level 1, and we try to spread these out again throughout the different areas of the county as well. And we work right through from the beginners one right through to the accreditation, and then we go into like the professional development courses as well, which are online courses, bite-sized, just for an hour as well. So we try and cover kind of all levels as well. And it's not about just the courses, it's about trying to support people who want to learn with devices as well. So as an organisation, we do run a laptop loan scheme for people who would like to do the courses but don't have a digital device. They can come to us and apply for a laptop to use at home for the duration of their course. Numbers are limited. We only have, I think, 50 devices at the moment, and they're kind of out most of the time. So there is a need, and we try and support learners with no digital devices at all in their home through this scheme as well. And organisations can refer people as well for the laptop loan scheme as well. So that's how we kind of, with our courses and with the laptop loan scheme. I'm going to let Tom introduce the next level, the next slide as well. Next level, thank you.
The next level.
Yeah, so Sue mentioned earlier the two videos which we're playing in this presentation. Really sorry about the jumpiness, but the second video, which will be coming very, very soon, is a video that we realised that networking events for larger businesses were available, but A lot of our local communities, for instance, March, where our March Community Centre is our HQ for Cambridgeshire Skills, a lot of the smaller businesses don't have perhaps the skills, the digital skills to market their businesses properly, or to get them on that bigger platform. So we sort of devised a bit of a fun video that was going to be shared on all of our social media. We would hope to get a bit of Earth, Wind and Fire, but copyright issues, so we couldn't do that. So this is a little video that is encouraging local businesses to get online, and then to get them into Cambridgeshire Skills to have a coffee and a bacon butty at some point in the new year, and to do a little bit of networking as well for them. So there we go. Has that just gone wrong?
Yeah, it's just stopped, Tom.
It's just stopped. Okay. I think we're back there.
A shame that was so jumpy, but I mean, you get the idea. Yeah, we got the chippy in, Rosie. That's right. We went around and talked to businesses about how we could support them to actually, promote themselves through a digital platform. Put together the video that could be shared across all the businesses, and gave them a little bit of skills training as well about getting their business online. So as Tom says, this is leading to a local networking support sessions for businesses in the new year. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an overview of what we do, and I'm sure any questions we'll get back to. Oh, somebody recognised the boat. We'll get back to later. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry if we overran, Sally.
No, thank you both very much. I think that was pretty close to perfect. So no, that is wonderful. So congratulations, and thank you very much. Right, we can get straight on to our third speaker now. The third speaker is Alex Blandford, who is a trustee for Cambridge Online. So Alex, over to you.
Hi folks. Can you all see my screen all right? Is there a presentation? Lovely.
Not at the moment,
right.
No, I can't.
Oh dear. Right, well. Try that.
Yeah,
any better?
That's it. Yeah, I can now. Brilliant.
There we go. Whew. Even better. Right. Hi, I'm Alex. I've got lots of hats here today. So I'm a trustee with Cambridge Online. I'm lead product manager for the University of Cambridge after 10 years of working in government, health and charities, taking digital services, taking services online. Steering committee on the Open Government Network, and I'm a DPhil student at the other place looking at communities of people who make civic technology sites, which is completely irrelevant to this, so don't worry, no PhD theory here. I'm going to talk a little bit today about a slightly different side of digital skills. They're both a bit about what Cambridge Online can offer, but also about what as service providers you can do regarding digital skills in your own service offering. So I am legally obliged to shamelessly plug that Cambridge Online is up for an award, and with the Digital Leaders Group, I think, and for the Craig MacDonald Memorial Prize about digital outreach. And we have a very snazzy little bit.ly short link there if you once you're done listening to this talk, obviously, if you wanted to go and vote for us for a little bit of the old national kudos for a Cambridge organisation doing good work. So in the UK, more people are online than ever before, and I think, you know, the Good Things Foundation can absolutely show us that there's this huge yawning digital gap. And the thing is, a lot of, you know, you can look at the Office for National Statistics surveys, and year after year, the number of people who aren't online is less and less. It's not to say that it's not something that needs addressing, or that, but there are more people online, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're having a great time online. They're being asked to do more than they ever were before. While I was researching this, I did go and look at the ONS statistics, and here's a thing from 2018 about what people who are online do the most. And I was looking at this going, at the bottom here, making an appointment with a healthcare practitioner, and halfway up, looking for health-related information, 2018. I rather think those might have jumped up the scale just a smidge more over the last few years. But the point here is that through the pandemic, people have been asked to manage aspects of their lives that they used to be able to manage completely offline, that now have some level of online aspect, even if it's just booking an appointment to talk to somebody, or booking an appointment for something that will happen offline. You end up with it being online, and that's put up a whole new set of barriers in terms of the services that organizations provide and how people access them. So the NHS has actually come up with quite a lot of stuff about this in some of their digital resources. I've put a link in the bottom there, so when you get the slides, you can have a look. But because this is a huge thing for accessing healthcare as well. So access, not everyone's got the internet or ability to connect to, you know, that skills. This is a big reason why we're here. Not everyone has the ability to use it. Confidence, some people fear online crime and lack trust in what they're doing. Motivation, don't see why. Design, this is probably my biggest area, but not all digital services and products are accessible and easy to use. Awareness, not everyone's aware of digital services and products available to them. And I don't mean in like a sort of, you get a mail shot. Like sometimes I spend hours trying to find out how I'm meant to interact with a particular organization, and then I find out, oh, they've got an app, or they've got a website that they've hidden 15 pages deep in their, well, you know, a form that they've hidden 15 pages deep in their website, and then I know what I'm doing. Staff capability and capacity. But I think sometimes there's a sort of, you know, in the same way that like Shelter talk about the hidden homeless who are sort of couch surfing, there's a hidden digital divide of people with low digital literacy who work in organizations who can't really help they can do the things they can do, but they can't necessarily help other people coming along and be able to sort of, with confidence, talk about what they're doing in their organization to people, to customers, to service users, to anyone like that. I would go back again just briefly on sort of skills and design, because one of the things I thought about this was sort of how much of this we take for granted in the design of the apps we use and so on. I remember about 10 years ago, there was if you use sort of mobile apps and you get the 3 lines to indicate that there's a menu somewhere in the app. It's called the hamburger because, you know, 2 pieces of bread and a burger in the middle. But there's nothing intuitive about this. There's nothing that says, okay, so I click on that and a menu will come up. The only reason we know that is that after sort of when everyone started using smartphones, it's just kind of the button that was there. There wasn't a sort of grand meeting going, what's going to be the most effective way of indicating to people that there's a menu? I mean, people talk about this with sort of kids today, of looking at the save icon and seeing a floppy disk and going, what on earth is that thing? Anyway, just to say, the design that we have is not, most of the time it's intuitive to us merely through sort of complete repetition rather than any actual logic for it being there. There's another report out if you're interested in reading more reports, which is the Future.Now one that came out, this is sort of nicely paraphrased a Department for Education digital skills framework, which you can find on gov.uk, but is longer and less snazzily put together, but trying to sort of break up these foundation skills. And the reason I'm kind of bringing this up is that it's sometimes useful with service users, especially, to kind of understand what the average, or what the range of people you have using your services are. Like, trying to ask people these sorts of statistical questions to understand, are most of your service users at a foundation level, and most of them at sort of level 1? Whereabouts are they? Because that's going to impact how you need to target your services. The other thing to say with this is you can't fix everything, and there's so many things. Digital literacy is a really kind of, it's something that's linked into lots of other parts, lots of other things that surround literacy, that surround education, that surround feelings of trust towards institutions and trust of companies taking your data. Lots of stories about the internet are genuinely scary. Like, I think it's usually bad form to sort of talk about your mum's low digital literacy, but my mum, every time she gets an alert from something saying, like Facebook or Flickr or something like that, saying you need to take action, she thinks it's a scam. She thinks somebody's trying to get her credit card details. I'm glad she does, because otherwise somebody would get her credit card details. But like, it's better that way. Lots of the stories that people read about signing up to stuff, they feel it puts them at risk. What I'm saying is there's some parts of this you can address, and some parts of it that are systemic and that are out of your control. And for this one, I keep coming back to actual literacy. Lots of the ways that people write online are not easy to read. That's companies, that's public institutions. It's worth thinking about what the kind of things that surround people's lives are that stop them being able to interact with the internet. And for me, most of the internet is words on pages. Most of what we do on the internet is writing some stuff so people can read it. Like, fancy videos, great. Fancy forms, great. Most of it is sentences. So the more accessibly you can write, and the more simple you can make your language, the shorter the sentences, the more space between them, the better you're going to do. And not everything to do with digital skills about computers. I think sometimes we get so locked down into the idea of everything being whiz-bang, flashy, futuristic. It's not. These are the same problems that if we'd spoken to people in the 80s about educational outcomes, they're the same problems. We've just put them in a different space. So for me, the things you can really do quickly, easily, and basically for free are around testing your reading comprehension. There's loads of tools online you can copy and paste text that you've got on your website, and it can give you an approximate reading age of what that text is. The lower the better. I mean, the 16.7% of adults with low literacy is one statistic. These stats are really sometimes a bit dodgy when it comes to literacy, but there was one a few years ago that suggested the average reading age in the UK was around 8 to 10. And that's not saying, but like, most people when they are reading would prefer shorter words, easy to read sentences. And I'm just saying, try and make your site as easy to read as possible. Test anything you've got on old devices. We have this, in a lot of government services, you can look at the analytics and you can see how people are trying to fill in your forms. And sometimes they're using 6-7-year-old, very, very cheap phones. So if your site doesn't work on a phone you can pick up on eBay for a tenner, then your site doesn't work for those people. So it's worth putting 10 quid in, getting a really old busted phone and trying to see what happens when you try and use your own website with that phone, because there will be people, and they will be the people in the most need, who are trying to access your services using that kind of device. Thinking about being reassuring and thinking about trustworthiness. So lots of times, this is just a little thing about, like, does your site look like a scam? Does the web design look really kind of all over the place and sort of 20 years old? Are there lots of spelling mistakes? does it not have an SSL? Does it not have an encryption certificate? So when you load it, a little warning comes up telling people this site is dodgy. It's worth just checking those things as well, because if we're trying to build a sort of idea around trustworthiness and what sites you can believe are not going to steal your credit card details, that's a place. And if you don't ask, you have people coming to you for services, for business, ask them about the website. And not a leading question like, how great are we? Like, no, what went wrong? What was difficult? Ask the difficult questions, because otherwise you'll never get the answers. What can help? Shameless plug, Cambridge Online. We have courses to help people with digital literacy, and we have run we've subcontracted from Good Things Foundation with the devices.now stuff through the pandemic, to say that, you know, with Cambridge, there are courses and access to devices available through Cambridge Online, and they're a very good place to start. We have a huge page full of links for other links out to digital resources, and obviously some of the other people who we would be talking about are in the room. So I'd say go to our website. Good Things Foundation, perfectly well covered. BBC have quite a few good sort of introduction to digital literacy and things, but I think going back to what was being said earlier, that's probably once you've got to grips with the device. What we can do as people who can get to the point of using Zoom is support peers. If you know somebody who's having trouble, and you know there's something they're putting off, at the moment it is still difficult accessing face-to-face services. There aren't a lot of library provision is harder to get hold of, or a lot of sort of in-person things are harder to get hold of, or I'm clinically vulnerable. I feel anxious going into spaces that are public and people aren't wearing masks and all the rest of it. I don't want to go there. I imagine quite a lot of other people would also benefit from, if you know people who are having trouble, share your screen, help them out. Volunteer. Cambridge Online is always looking for volunteers to help us deliver more training and services. Do consider that. And complain. When you find a service that doesn't, where you, as somebody with some level of digital literacy, when you find a service that you find hard to navigate, tell them. Like, say, I found this hard. This didn't work for me. Because you're kind of trying to clear the way for the other people who are going to come after you, who are going to find it harder. And you have a voice, and you need to be able to use it to, stamp up and down a little bit. It's the only way they'll hear. Thank you. I think that's me slightly over time, but thank you very much.
I reckon that was pretty close, Alex. So thank you very much. That was brilliant. Okay, you've heard from all three of our speakers now. If people have got any questions, then can you use the little hand thing to raise your hand, and I'll come to you, and we'll go through some of the questions. I'll get Sally to go through some of the questions on the chat as well. So first person, Laura's got a hand up. So
I was just going to come in on one of the, I'm trying to put it down again now. I'm just going to come in on one of the questions I saw from Chris on the panel earlier about Learn My Way. So I think Chris asked, is Learn My Way accessible for anyone? So I just was going to answer that briefly. So Learn My Way is free for anybody to create a free account and use. And that would give you access to the digital learning courses. If you become a member of our online centres network, you get an online centres code, which then allows you to access the tutor resources and printable accompanying worksheets that go with those digital courses as well. And picking up on a lot of what Alex said there, we try to avoid this intuitive thing and try to make call to action buttons really clear for people who have never used the internet before. We have a literacy age of around 10, 11 years old, and we do try and make it mobile first, because a lot of what Alex said we completely agree with and try to enact that in Learn My Way. So it is free to use, but you get more out of it if you are a free member of the Online Centres Network as well.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Stevie, you put your hand up next. You're on mute, Stevie. You're still on mute. Sorry. That's better. Brilliant.
I beg your pardon. It's some of the questions that I was going to ask have already been answered by the first speaker. Sorry, I was late coming to the meeting. I had to deal with a reader. Our readers are really non-readers. I'm with Cambridge Read Easy, so we deal with adult illiteracy. And sadly, as has been shown by the three speakers, financial issues are the biggest problem, so that they don't have broadband and they don't have smartphones. So this meant that during lockdown and after, we've suffered hugely because they can only meet face to face, and many of the libraries, especially the little libraries, aren't allowing face to face contact. They will only allow people to meet briefly inside, whereas actually we need half-hour sessions. That's not a complaint. This has been a fantastic session this morning, and I was just wondering about the phones, because many of ours have got brick phones that have no screens. So I know that one of the people was saying you can borrow machines for their learning, and I was wondering if those computers, somebody said that they do come with chips so that you actually have online access, but if you have the ability to block them so that unsuitable content isn't downloaded, do you understand where I'm coming from? Because otherwise you could have them looking at porn, for example.
Sue, do you want to come?
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to unmute. Yeah, they do. They have like a security system on them. So the certain sites can't be accessed. And when the laptops do come back from being hired out, they are kind of checked, and the history is checked and it's cleared, and we start again. So we do put like the security systems in on the laptops. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
And yes, it does come with data as well, so they can access online as well.
Absolutely fantastic.
And also, Stevie, do get in contact with Cambridge Online as well, because if you've got clients who need equipment, they might have stuff that they can donate. So they have a selection of tech that is available for people who need it. So that's cool.
That's brilliant. Thank you,
Rosie.
Yes, to Stevie as well, and everybody in general, we are starting to work on a borrowable tech project to start in the new year. We've got Lenovo tablets with MiFis, and we're getting some laptops as well. It won't be a huge collection, but we will be starting, and we are really trying to recruit lots more digital buddies so we can get our online centres up and running again. We're really trying. We know what we need to do. It's just the mechanics are taking a while. But I had a question for Sue. Hello, Sue. Just going to say, Sue, how many of your I'm starting to go on musical now. How many of your absolute beginners courses for digital skills are universal? Can you hear me? You're on mute, Sue.
Sorry, it keeps switching on and off. I know it's got a mind of it.
Oh, it's gone off again. You're off again.
Sorry, Rosie, can you repeat the question for me? I can hear now. I'm back.
Just the very last bit of it. I was just saying, how many of your very basic absolute beginners courses are universal provision, or do they all have to come under the 3 years residency and in receipt of benefits?
We for the fully funding. To get fully funded, then obviously it is kind of, well, no, sorry, I beg your pardon, because it's digital skills, it is the entitlement. So the only thing I think is the 3-year residency, but I'll check that. The financial side doesn't come into it on the digital skills provision, so it's an entitlement for all on it.
So it would just be the 3-year residency?
Yeah, it
okay.
would.
Lovely, thank you.
Does that help?
It does.
Sorry, I keep going on and off.
Brilliant, thanks guys. Anne Grimsdale, do you want to ask your questions live? There's a couple in the chat. Do you want to ask those live? Is that okay? Putting you on the spot a bit.
Yes, sure. Thanks very much. I was interested first of all in the first speaker to know more about the data bank, how it's going to work, who it's intended for, how people are going to find it, will they have to be referred, and what the plans are to move people through and out the other end. In terms of, so, you know, in a food bank term, it might be to a social supermarket and so on. So that was my first question. Thank you.
So I'm not going to pretend I know all the answers to that right now, because as I say, because I personally am not working on that project within our organisation, but we are running it as a test and learn at the moment to answer those questions. So we're working with O2, and it's a small scale project where we're working with around 50 of our online centres. As I say, we've got a network of about 6,000, working with those 50 to look at exactly those questions you've asked.
Okay.
And after that test and learn project run over the next couple of months, we're hoping in the new year to roll that out with that learning and that understanding. So we're not at the stage where we can answer that fully at the moment, unfortunately, but we're going to get there, hopefully.
Very much.
You'd also asked about, and I was just going to answer in the chat about people who've been forced online in the pandemic and how many of them are remaining online because they see the benefits. Yeah, so I was just sort of typing away there about our Everyone Connected project, where we've given out data, devices and training. And we have, I can't quote statistics at you right now, but we have lots of case study examples of how people have, been opened up to the world of digital advantages and remained online. But this has led us to that data bank piece, because when we've given out the data, it has been limited data. So how do we get people to remain online has led to the data bank idea.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
But I think the skills training is really important to that, just giving people the device so it isn't sufficient to sort of motivate them.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think my last question was around what might have been noticed in terms of changing demographics when the pandemic hit and I think Cambridgeshire skills were forced online. And so I wondered what you'd noticed about what changed and what might be changing back. I mean, I'm also interested in, you say you've got this B2B breakfast club going. Is that face-to-face or online?
The Breakfast Club, I'll start with that one, came through talking to local businesses in March Town Centre. They were quite keen to meet together and share their experiences of kind of the difficulties they're having. When we talked about kind of business networking, the small independent business doesn't tend to get invited to networking events as such. So they felt it would be useful to meet. So we're looking at doing it face to face after Christmas at March Community Centre as a little bit of a pilot for them, and they will kind of guide how they want to see that, what they want to get out of it. So that's the business club. The demographics, we did see a change when we went online. We tend to look at putting our, as you're aware, our courses in the communities, in small communities, to engage with the hardest to reach people with the courses. The demographics changed, as in our learners were more kind of spread out. We had a lot of inquiries from outside Cambridgeshire as well, from outside even, you know, as far away as, I think the furthest away was Singapore. So we had lots of, and also we noticed we weren't necessarily engaging the younger, the 19 to 25s online, and also the olders, kind of the 60 plus. So our demographics moved to more kind of the 25 to kind of 50s age group for the online courses. And people were looking for a lot more leisure and pleasure during lockdown. To take up new interests rather than think about kind of the employability side. So it was a shift also of the courses being requested as well. Well, now we're seeing a shift back to that now. So I think it was a little bit of people wanted to look at learning online and get online as a little bit of escapism as well.
And I think there were quite a few of our learners who kind of wanted to be on our waiting lists because they were digitally excluded and felt that face-to-face is the best platform to learn some of our courses as a training provider. So I know our waiting list is quite hefty, and it's just about waiting for that time when things get a bit more secure for people as well to come back.
Brilliant, thank you.
I think on the whole demographics thing, I think at Good Things Foundation we are really kind of challenging this notion of young people being digital natives and sort of knowing it all. Just because they've got a smartphone and maybe use Facebook and TikTok, they don't necessarily have the business skills, you know, IT business skills, and that's a large part of our demographic. So, you know, and we know 1 in 10 people who are offline are under 50. So that working age group has become much more of a focus for us.
I think that really supports what we found, Laura. You know, I was surprised how many younger learners we lost online. I was expecting probably a little bit naivety that we would get more online learners from the younger age bracket, but no, definitely what you said.
Brilliant, thank you guys. Suzanne, you've got a question about basic skills and then the next level.
Yeah, thanks. So when we talk about digital exclusion, or inclusion, we often think about older people who weren't born with computers, but I'm very interested to hear from the panel about identifying who are the next generation of people that we suspect will have challenges around IT. So for example, my question was really, you know, how many of us are super comfortable with coding and TikTok, and, you know, would we feel confident doing that both at work and also at home? So yeah, any thoughts from the panel about the who's next in terms of focusing a different type of provision?
I think with good things, I think I've just sort of said a little bit that that working age cohort is a big focus for us, but another cohort that are a large focus for us are people with ESOL needs as well. So people who are newly arrived to the country, and particularly people that sort of really need to understand what the internet is before they can even access it, really. So that's what I'd say there.
Alex, do you want to come in on that?
Yeah, there's a couple of, I certainly agree with that. I spent a couple of years living overseas, and the most frustrating thing then was when you have to pick up the phone and they've got a voice recognition thing and your language in a foreign language is not good enough to get past a phone system. And it gives you quite a lot of empathy for somebody on the other side. But this brings me to the point of, like, when organizations go for a whiz bang new thing, like let's do voice recognition or let's do X, it actually makes it harder to get around the adaptations that people might put in place. Like, so, you know, if you decide that you're going to do everything through a chatbot, or, you know, that pops up on your website, when actually people need to use Google Translate inside their window to read the site, you break their journey. And so the service I work on at the moment is the admissions service for Cambridge, like putting that online. Plenty of people have trouble with the form, not because, you know, they're very well educated, but the thing is that what we have is a form that leans on the idea of adult forms, and they're 17, 18 and they're applying to university. They've never had to deal with an official form that tells you at the end you're at risk of committing fraud if you lie. I think it's not necessarily, there's certainly the digital literacy element, but a lot of this is that the internet privatizes the space. You might have had a paper form and you'd have sat with somebody, with a parent or with somebody else, and you could have filled it out collaboratively. There's something about the internet that makes it a very insular experience. And it's not necessarily that there are absolutely digital literacy things, but just to say that there are contextual things that the internet makes harder for people to then socialize and treat as a communal activity in a way that might have previously provided support when things were analog.
Brilliant, thanks guys. Can I have one last point from Stevie and then I'm going to wrap it all up? Thank you. You're on mute again, Stevie.
I was going to ask if I've got permission to share these videos, because Read Easy UK and all the other regions around the country that teach reading, they would benefit hugely from knowing what is available. I know that some things are, like March, there's about to be a Fenland Read Easy, but some of you are regional, but the nub of what's being said would be of incredible use nationally to Read Easy. Am I allowed to share it, Mark?
Yeah, I'm sure people are not going to mind. I mean, we'll send,
yes.
Ali will send through stuff on the email, so that's cool.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you to our speakers, all of you. That was brilliant. Congratulations on keeping to time. It's first for me. just to let you know a couple of things. We will send an email with all of the links on, and we will put the videos up so you'll be able to share those. There's also a link to a feedback survey. We'll put that in the email as well, but do give us your thoughts on this. There's one more session tomorrow. I'm not sure if there's any spaces left on that, but
it's full tomorrow.
Oh, sorry. Tomorrow is full, so you can't book on that, but thank you very much for coming to this session. Do keep an eye out on the internet for what the Digital Partnership's doing, and thank you to Sally, but also to all of my fellow Digital Partnership steering group members for all of the hard work they've done to put on this conference. Anyway, thank you very much, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.